Okay, so in Tier 0, to start this career, we highly believe that you should be loving to hack. Back in time, there were no bug bounty programs. The people were just doing hacking as their main passion instead of uh, monetary purposes, meaning that you should have chosen hacking as your passion and understand the difficulties that may come up. The second point is that this career is time consuming. If you are want to be as good as a proficient security researcher, you should deduce a lot of your daily time reading and learning new things. And as mentioned before, the knowledge in this field is ever growing. Before proceeding to the next steps, understand the obstacles that might come in the way and ask yourself if this field is what suits you best. Okay, for Tier 1, we have networking and protocols and other things. So, every career has a bunch of prerequisites which might seem boring but necessary if we are planning to have a successful career. Below is the list of prerequisites that we suggest you have before deep diving into application security. Okay, first of all, networking and protocols. If you have no background in the networking field, we highly suggest you read Network Plus to understand the basic concepts. This will have a huge role in your career later in various vulnerabilities that need networking knowledge. You should also be familiar with the HTTP protocol and the basic concept. This is one of the most important initial readings that you should do, as HTTP is what we are going to deal with every day in our lives. We suggest the HTTP, the Definitive Guide book, as a perfect example. This book here. Okay, for next step, we can have this programming language. Once you start your career in this field, soon enough you will understand that there are various tasks you need to perform daily on a large number of targets. This is an impossible task for a human to do. However, if you learn a programming language like Python or Go, you should be able to automate the boring tasks for yourself. Various open source tools have been developed by other hackers and developers that do some public known tasks for us. However, there might be some cases in which you came up with an idea and the open source tool is not available for that purpose. That's when you need to know how to code your custom tool. For Python, we suggest 13 days of Python, and for Go, we highly suggest the Learning Go or this book here. Okay, then Linux and Bash here. The OS you are going to work with is mostly Linux, so you should have basic knowledge on how to properly work with that. You can read Linux in action to understand the Unix file system, art architecture, and introduction to Bash scripting, this box here, to learn automating basic tasks in Bash. Okay, for next step, We have JavaScript, the soul of client-side vulnerabilities. If you don't have a proper understanding of JavaScript basics, you will be missing lots of client-side vulnerabilities, such as XSS, WebSockets, and several DOM-based vulnerabilities. We highly suggest the 13 Days of JavaScript and javascript.info uh, as the resources to learn the basics and down the rabbit hole you can go. For the next step, we have web server. It's recommended to understand the web server's basics and to implement a practical web server for yourself to test the skills you have. There are various web servers from which we have suggested Apache as a go-to. To learn Apache web servers, we suggest the Apache Cookbook. For balancing and proxies purposes, we suggest Nginx Cookbook as a way to go, as it's more flexible in terms of those usages compared to Apache. You can read the Nginx Cookbook.